And another thing that stands out to me about this position is that there is indeed one undefended pawn, and this time it's at the center of the board. Most of the positions that we've seen has got that side pawn that comes into attack, and Fabi's ready with his first move. He does start, I believe, with the e-pawn moving 2 steps forward, also creating that space for the knight to come into the game, the bishop to open up next, and I think this one move makes a lot of sense, and for now, Shavakir, he mirrors it.
Yeah, we will get the board up in a moment, yeah, first we do see a very quiet start to this game. I think it's a good strategy, especially for the older player here, to just get a position, just to survive the opening, and Fabi hoping to use his greater experience later. Yeah, with no time on the clock, you don't have time simply, you don't have those extra valuable minutes to dig deep and understand the specifics. So you just need to normalize things as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so pawns meeting in the middle, and again, folks, as soon as we have the live or the board that we can draw on, we'll make all this very clear to you. But e4, e5, then we had a g3 push there from Fabi as well, opening that diagonal for his queen to protect that e4 pawn in the center of the board.
And I think what Fabi wants is to expand further and try to get those pawns moving forward on the right side of the board. As we see on our camera, Shavakir has responded, but this time with a piece move, so developing, bringing that knight to the center of the board. And there it is, the strike does happen. Fabi continues to expand, play with pawns, gaining more space, but falling back on development.
Wow, very brave, pushing only pawns on these first few moves by Fabiano. He wants action. Shavakir calmly just defends. And yeah, I mean, interesting to hear Hikaru's thoughts as well, that this format favouring the youngsters. Maybe influenced by the fact that Shavakir got past him in the quicker time formats.
Also, energy's got to be playing such a big role right now, right? What a day these two have had. Battles gone down to the wire in their classical, then the 10+2, and now taking it on in the 5-minute with only a 2-second increment every time they press the clock. And the match continues, the pressure rises, so much on the line for these two players.
Yeah, we should mention they did start today's action 6.5 hours ago. Wow. Over 6.5 hours ago, so... I mean, this is pure stamina right now that the players are relying upon in order to find that energy to get the wins.
Yeah, the engines in those brains working at max capacity at the moment. A pure chess, as they say. Nothing known about these positions, calculations, and intuition.
Fabi on our sofa just a few days ago said, you know, he loves the playoffs, he loves the tie breaks, he loves Fischer random freestyle chess with little time on the clock. Be careful what you wish for. It's now come down to a 5+2. You already got the 10+10, and here you are.
And here we are. We have the boards back, so we're going to bring that up and show you all of the action that has been happening. It looks like here, Caruana Sindarov with his last move, getting ready to castle the Black King. Soon in the near future, he will get his king to safety, but first there was a big hit. I'm just going to say here, Fabiano has an advantage. That is clear, because the White Queen at least has some vision. The Black Queen, cornered. Nobody puts Queenie in the corner like that. Looks great for Fabiano.
It's really interesting because where Shavakir has placed his rook on that last move, it actually physically stops Black from getting that king to safety by castling on that side of the board. Overload of the rook happening. You know, you can't have 2 rooks on the same square. So the castling will have to wait for him. Meanwhile, the knights come out for Fabiano, just getting that piece play going towards the center, putting some pressure on the central pawns, also eyeing a further tripling down with the D pawn potentially moving 2 steps ahead next.
Yeah, big moment. Okay, the Black Queen wanting to come out. She's opened up. But this move you mentioned here now, Tanya, tripling up in the center. Not only is that a fantastic move to break out while Fabiano's ahead in piece development, having brought 3 minors out. But if a bishop ever lands on that diagonal, watch out. That Black Queen's still a bit of a target, a bit trapped in that corner of the board.
Yeah, it feels like Sindarov realized how much power he was leaving out of the action in trapping that queen and wants to find a way for her to get involved. But does give a small opening here for Fabiano.
He's trying to open up his own dark squared bishop, right? He's hoping for ideas of that bishop landing on that same spot where Fabi's light squared bishop has come on that 8-6 square as well. Could be an idea to put pressure on one of the pawns and in the center of the board. Could be a way to get some counterplay going.
Yeah. There you have it.
Played. And now big moment for Fabiano. There is pressure on this pawn. He does not want to break that tension, though. He does not necessarily want to rush and capture it in the center, because then the pawn structure would become totally symmetrical, and that would level things out. That would give Javalkir some breathing space. I have a feeling if Fabiano is feeling ambitious, he might just leave that pawn as a gambit and just get his king, his rook sorted out. He can bring his king across one square. The rook will leap over into the center, castle on the queen side. King's gambit style. Give up a pawn to get the center.
Love it in practice, but I feel like if it's my own game, I'd be so scared, you know, to gambit away material so early on with so much on the line, big bucks, the final spot there. And he first brings out his bishop. He's targeting the knight at the center of the board, threatening to destroy Javakir's pawn formation.
Great move. It's still a gambit, we should mention. Black can still grab a pawn, but the idea of Black's central structure being ruined by a trade bishop for knight, I think just unthinkable for Javalkir. So he might have to burn a bit more time, move this knight away. He's got a few squares to use. But Fabi on the front foot in this blitz game. Clock's level looks like everything he could have hoped for from the opening, at least for Fabiano.
In this time control, it can so quickly become a bullet game. I mean, we're already down to 2 minutes on the clock, and the opening moves have barely gotten on. We're just starting the middle phase of the game.
Yeah, David, I noticed you highlighted only retreating moves for the knight. Is there something that's stopping us from jumping forward to c4 out of danger?
No, nothing stopping.
Okay.
Good spot. I just missed it. And Javalkir does not miss it. He is the type of player who will jump forward if given the opportunity. The knight might have to retreat in the near future. It can still get kicked away by some pawns, but then it will retreat and protect its king, simply. So this is a safer, better path forward. Always go forward if you have a choice. I think that's good general wisdom.
Will get kicked away. Now tucks it right back onto that square that you pointed out, offering a trade, but this time now with the option to recapture with the A-pawn, right, while unlocking the rook at the same time.
Yeah, the black rook would have been unlocked, so not rushing to trade.
Wow.
Instead, going for the knight with pawns.
Ooh.
I love this idea, you know, often stated by the top players, given the starting position, the rook on the left side just gets developed without making a single move, and that pawn is coming towards Javakir's king, who's lost the right to find safety on the right side of the board because a move by the rook has been made earlier. That A-pawn, and this is Fabi saying, come for the gambit, take that pawn on the king side, well, the right side, because I'm coming for your knight, and then that pawn moves even further. This looks incredibly dangerous for Javalkir. Look at the way the pieces are set up. The black king boxed up by its own pieces.
Yeah, watch out, that white queen might later swoop in on this diagonal and deliver a nasty checkmate. So yeah, this A-pawn, just a really strong move. If you start in freestyle chess with a rook in the corner, always push your pawn forward if you can. And black couldn't push forward himself because the black knight would have then been captured, wrecking the black pawn structure. Fabiano's on the front foot here. Oh, that's a scary move to have to play. Opening up his own king, Javalkir, here.
This is terrifying. And you know what's going on in Fabi's mind? Can I give up my bishop? Can I get that bind on that black king by pushing my own pawn one step forward and creating checkmating ideas as long as the black king is entrapped there, but it's too much of a risk to take.
Ooh, he trades off a set of pawns. Not what Fabiano wanted. Now rooks have disappeared, so neither king is going to castle in this game. Both kings are fixed on the flank they sit on. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Fabiano has something better, something more risky perhaps. Now he's going for the central strategy, trying to break open lines. Watch out, the white queen, the black king here, sitting on the same diagonal.
Sitting on the same diagonal, it could shift its diagonal. It could find itself closer to the white rook to then get into the left side of the board. So there are all kinds of ideas here. I do like the space that Fabiano has, the center that you have. It still feels like immense pressure on Javalkir.
Yeah, this is the best position Fabiano's had in the last, in any of the speed tiebreaks at least. He was on the back foot in both of the previous 2 games. Now he's fighting back. He blocks the center. This is actually reminiscent of Vincent Keimer defeating Magnus Carlsen yesterday. This pawn structure in the middle of the board, the 2 white pawns just clamping down, gaining space. And now, oh, as you called, Tanya, the white queen has inroads into that black king position. That is terrifying. Backed up by her knight, you might still need an extra piece there. You need 3 attacking pieces to deliver the killer blow. But all the signs point towards an attack.
And Javakir trying to get his own queen closer to the king to get that defense going, eyeing that b4 square as well, start targeting, because there's a black knight that's ready to assist the attack as well. Not sure who's getting to whose king first, because the ideas of the knight jumping in and a checkmate on that b2 point is coming up.
Well, pieces are now being traded off the board. Both players now below 60 seconds on their clock.
He's going to pick up the bishop, but he pauses. He pauses just to check if he can throw in an in-between move of capturing that pawn, hitting the black queen. But he needs to be careful, because ideas of the queen jumping towards the white king, you know, what we've been pointing out earlier, would be incredibly dangerous.
Whoa. So as opposed to taking, he's going to look to threaten the queen in a different way.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Very aesthetically nice there, that move. Throwing a pawn away in order to totally blow up Black's pawn structure. But it does come at a price. It does cost a pawn. And Black's light squared bishop that was previously just dead is now suddenly in the game. Oh, that's risky from Fabiano. I don't think he needed to do that. I think he just wanted to play it because it looks nice and pretty, and Black's pawns are ruined here, wrecked. But both players now under the 30-second mark. This is going to heat up.
And they're always so in sync with their heart rates, right? Now in the 140s. I don't know how that's possible. I've never seen that happen before.
I'm telling you, it's a connection. It's a connection through the pieces, through the board. I don't know what it is, but there's a symbiosis here, and they can both feel it.
From day one, right? Being at the top of the standings, just always first and second, first and second.
That's what I'm saying.
The journey
These guys
together.
were destined to meet each other here in the semifinals. But already, time ticking away on the clock. Javakir Sindarov, a tough decision to make, and you can see the indecision in his fingers there. Does eventually commit to a king push. Now we're making space for our own king here to jump up to b2 and maybe slide that queen over.
Okay, first a trade of knights from Fabiano here. I think we might well see that move in the near future. He swings his queen across. He's ganging up on some weak pawns. How fast is Javakir twiddling that piece in his hand right now? The nerves kicking in.
As fast as he's moving the pieces on the board, he wants to trade off as many of them as possible. He brings the rook to the open line. Is there a way for Black to line up the queen? A big check being threatened right now.
The computer hated it. What just happened?
Oh, Fabiano's blundered. He's let the Black rook in. Now Black's pieces are pouring forward. This might just end in checkmate.
But he's got 7 seconds on the clock. Only 2-second increment every single move you make. Is that going to be enough time to work it out?
King is on the run. More pieces fall.
Check.
Check has to move.
Fabiano resigns. That was a double attack. The white king would have had to walk into the path of its queen. The white rook was about to drop. Turn around. Javakir Sindarov is on the brink of the final, taking down Fabiano. Fabiano just let it slip there. He was in control, but 2 or 3 careless moves under time pressure, and it turned around.